Cal Kestis, Jedi Padawan, lives in hiding as a scrapper on the planet Bracca, a junkyard planet that was once the site of the Clone Wars campaign but is now under the control of the Empire. When disaster strikes, Cal uses the Force to save his friend Prouf from falling to his death. Soon after, the Empire arrives in search of the hidden Jedi. With a force of stormtroopers and purge troopers are two Inquisitors, the Ninth and Second Sisters. Prouf is killed as an example for speaking out against Imperial terror, and Cal's cover is blown. He attempts a harrowing escape on a train, only to come face to face with the second sister. Luckily, Cal is rescued by a strange ship, the Mantis, which escapes Bracca. The Mantis is home to Seer Junda and Grease Dritus. Grease pilots the Mantis, while Seer is a former Jedi Knight. Both Cal and Seer carry trauma from the Jedi Purge. Cal's master, Jaro Tapal, was killed during Order 66, and Cal's connection to the Force is damaged. Seer is no longer a Jedi and has completely cut herself off from the Force. Uniquely, Cal has a rare ability called psychometry, which allows him to sense the history behind an object he touches. The Mantis reaches Bogano, a peaceful planet not found on any maps, which is home to an ancient vault that supposedly contains the key to rebuilding the Jedi Order. On the way there, Cal encounters BD-1, an enthusiastic droid who becomes his constant companion. BD helps navigate, get around, can splice controls to unlock new paths, and can heal Cal with stim canisters. On the way, Cal relearns his ability to wall run, through a flashback to a training session with his former master. After slaughtering more of the local wildlife, Cal reaches the vault. Upon entering, BD-1 displays a mysterious past recording of a former Jedi, Eno Cordova. Cordova explains that he has hidden in this vault a Jedi holocron containing the identities of every Force-sensitive child in the galaxy, one that could be used to rebuild the Jedi Order. But, to ensure the safety of this holocron, Cordova won't just let someone take it. He instructs the listener to seek out the tombs of 3 sages. These sages were members of the Zepho, an extinct Force-sensitive civilization that built the Bogano Vault. Cal and BD return to the Mantis, and Seer reveals that she was formerly Cordova's apprentice. Following Cordova's path, the crew set off for Zepho, former homeworld of the extinct species of the same name that had a strong connection to the Force. The Mantis makes a rough landing on the mysterious planet. Cal discovers that the Empire has left a force stationed on Zepho, the remnant of a disbanded mining operation that involved removing the local population. After fighting through stormtroopers and local fauna, Cal reaches the entrance to an ancient Zepho structure, blocked by a storm which he must slow using the Force. Descending deep into the tomb, Cal needs to use his wits to progress forward and encounters the deadly Tomb Guardians. On the way, he recovers his ability to Force push through a training flashback with his master. Another message from Cordova reveals that a mosaic in this tomb points to the planet Kashyyyk, home to an ally of Cordova's, the Wookiee Tarful. Unsurprisingly, Cal's exploits have attracted quite a bit of Imperial attention on his way back to the Mantis, including an ATST walker. Seer reveals the reason she cut herself off from the Force, explaining that she was captured and tortured while trying to lure the Empire away from her Padawan Trilla, who was hiding with a group of younglings. Though she escaped, the Imperial torture was almost too much for her to bear, and she tells Cal that Trilla did not survive the Purge. Kashyyyk is under severe Imperial control. The Empire has enslaved or displaced the Wookiee population while stripping the planet of its resources. Efforts are hindered by a small band of resistance fighters. Cal jumps into the water down below and manages to climb and hijack an Imperial walker. After blasting the Imperial force and relieving the freedom fighters, Cal meets Saw Gerrera, leader of the partisans helping the Wookiee fighters. Saw enlists Cal's help in liberating an Imperial base. Cal frees the Wookiees and helps the insurgents gain control of the installation. He turns down Saw's offer to join his fighters, having a more important mission. Unfortunately, there is no sign of Tarful, though the partisans agreed to look for him in return for Cal's help. Continuing the hunt for clues, the crew returns to Zepho. In his search for the next tomb, Cal makes his way through an Imperial installation and a derelict Venator-class Star Destroyer. As he gets closer, he is surprised by the second sister. In a harrowing duel, Cal is saved by BD-1. The Inquisitor unmasks herself and reveals that she is in fact Trilla, Seer's former apprentice. She tells Cal that while being tortured by the Empire, Seer gave in and revealed the location of Trilla and the younglings she was hiding, and that Seer tapped into the dark side of the Force in her rage. Trilla tells Cal that it won't be long before Seer cracks and betrays him, too. She reveals that the Empire has learned about both Cordova and the holocron. Cal finds the next tomb, complete with its own puzzles, guardians, and a sizable Imperial presence. In the heat of the moment, Cal recovers his ability to force pull through another flashback. Another hologram from Cordova reveals that to unlock the Bogano vault, Cal needs to find a Zeppo artifact called an Astrium. While attempting to return to the Mantis, Cal is intercepted by a bounty hunter from the Haxion brood and captured. As it turns out, Grease has attracted some unwanted attention with his gambling debts. He finds himself locked up in a mysterious prison. After rescuing BD-1 and recovering his weapons, Cal finds himself as a contestant in a combat arena run by the Haxion brood. Though he is forced to fight several deadly creatures, Cal is rescued by Seer and Grease in the Mantis. He confronts both of them, Seer for lying about her past with Trilla, and Grease for his gambling issues. The Partisans have located Tarful on Kashyyyk, so the Mantis heads back there. Cal needs to make his way deep into the forest, through dense, gloomy undergrowth and an underground water source to find the legendary Wookiee general. Tarful reveals that Cordova found wisdom at the top of the massive origin tree. Cal needs to continue even deeper and ascend the tree. He is intercepted by Imperial forces led by the Ninth Sister, but is saved by the massive Shio bird. As he continues, Cal recovers his ability to Jedi flip. He makes his way through the canopy of the gargantuan tree. He heals the Shio bird, which takes him for a jaw-dropping ride around the tree to the top, where BD shows another of Cordova's recordings. He learns the location of the Astrium, a third tomb, on the planet Dathomir. Before leaving, Cal is ambushed by the Ninth Sister. Cal manages to defeat her after an intense duel. Next destination, Dathomir. Cal is challenged by local wildlife but gets intercepted by a Night Sister, a member of a force-wielding civilization that was wiped out during the Clone Wars, who summons warrior Night Brothers to stop him from advancing. As he nears the tomb, Cal fights through more Night Brothers before encountering a strange man, calling himself a traveler. He is sent down to Dathomir's swamps, and once again encounters the Night Sister, who tells him to leave. This time, she summons her dead sisters to kill the intruder. Cal is later challenged by a massive beast called Gorgara. Cal manages to kill the beast, then fights his way through a Night Brother village to reach the tomb. While meditating to seek a way into the tomb, Cal has another flashback to his time as a Padawan during the Clone Wars. He relives his memory of Order 66 as the clone troopers turned on him and the death of Jaro Tapal. Cal feels responsible for not being able to save his master, and in the trauma of reliving that memory, he destroys his lightsaber. Unable to open the tomb, Cal leaves, only to once again encounter the mysterious traveler. This man reveals himself to be Taron Malicos, a former Jedi who landed on Dathomir after the Purge and succumbed to the dark side, gaining control over the Night Brothers. Malicos offers to teach Cal, who refuses. The Night Sister, Merrin, appears and is furious at Malicos for wanting to train a Jedi, after he spent years telling her lies that the Jedi were responsible for the massacre of the Night Sisters. She summons a horde of dead Night Sisters to attack them both, and Cal makes his escape back to the Mantis. Cal is shaken by his experience, but Seer tells him to stand up and move on from his past, telling Cal about how she had to move on after using the dark side to escape her torture at the hands of the Empire. His first step, to go to the planet Ilum, where Jedi have traditionally gotten their kyber crystals, to reconstruct his lightsaber. Cal enters the ancient caves and derelict Jedi structure, making his way towards a telltale glow at the back of the cave. After swimming through frigid water, Cal just manages to reach a kyber crystal, only for it to break in his hands. On the brink of giving up, BD-1 revitalizes him with a heartfelt speech through a hologram of Eno Cordova, revealing that the droid's memories were encrypted until he found a trusted Jedi to reveal them to. Cal realizes and takes the kyber crystal and fixes his lightsaber, modifying it so that it can split in two. Cal discovers that the Empire has found Ilum and is mining kyber crystals, and he needs to fight his way back to the Mantis before more Imperial forces arrive. With his lightsaber fixed, Cal can return to Dathomir. Before entering the tomb, Cal must face his past, and he does so by confronting his former master in a vision. Night Sister Merrin confronts Cal, who tells her the truth about the Jedi, and the two reconcile their differences. Cal confronts Malicos, who can't accept Cal's quest to rebuild the Jedi Order. Cal defeats Malicos in battle with help from Merrin. He recovers the Astrium from the tomb. Merrin joins Cal and the crew of the Mantis. With the Astrium in hand, Cal returns to Bogano and enters the vault. Before collecting the holocron, he is shown a vision. It starts with him training a group of young Jedi in the ways of the Force before being discovered and attacked by the Empire. He sees the young Jedi being captured and tortured and sees himself becoming an Inquisitor. but he is stopped from taking the holocron by Trilla, who attacks Cal. After defeating her, Cal collects her lightsaber, but with his psychometric powers, he witnesses Trilla's traumatic past of being tortured and turned into an Inquisitor, then sees Cere's dark outburst after witnessing her apprentice's transformation. Trilla escapes with the holocron. Cal apologizes to Cere for not understanding what she went through. Cere takes Trilla's lightsaber and uses it to knight Cal, declaring him a full Jedi Knight. Luckily, she knows where Trilla has taken the holocron, an imposing fortress on the planet Noor. To get past the Imperial blockade, Merrin uses her Night Sister magic in a ritual to hide the Mantis. To get into Fortress Inquisitorius, Cal and Cere drop into the ocean to enter from underwater. Cal is tasked with finding the holocron, while Cere's goal is to cause chaos and distract the defenses. After entering, Cere and Cal sabotage the base, and Cal floods part of it to get closer to the holocron. Cal needs to fight through intense Imperial defenses, including Purge troopers, and works with Cere to make progress. Eventually, Cal comes face to face with Trilla one last time. Cal manages to defeat Trilla and recovers the holocron. Cere arrives to the scene and apologizes to her former apprentice for her failure. Then, Darth Vader himself arrives and strikes Trilla down for her failure, then swats Cere aside as she tries to fight. Cal needs to use every trick in his book to escape, and he only barely manages to do so, getting stabbed in the process. He is saved by both BD-1 and by Cere, who taps into the dark side until Cal reminds her that she still has a choice. Cal floods the tunnel so they can escape, giving his breather to Cere, and is himself pulled out of the water by Merrin. The crew of the Mantis managed to escape with the holocron intact. Though they had planned on using the holocron to find the Force-sensitive children and rebuild the Jedi Order, Cal remembers his vision, and decides that they cannot risk putting the lives of those innocent children in danger. He destroys the holocron, trusting the lives of those children to the Force. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, I'd really appreciate if you could like the video or subscribe to my channel. Sorry about the poor mic quality, but I do hope that this video serves as a good refresher for the story of Jedi Fallen Order before the sequel comes out in a few weeks.